HY Maspio Jetis DUC Candia Biakrafari. Let me ask you something. Why do so many people dream of a better life, but only a few actually achieve it? Why do so many people feel stuck, trapped in the same routines, the same patterns year after year, while others break free and create extraordinary results? The answer is simple. Most people don't get stuck because they lack talent or intelligence or even opportunity. They get stuck because of the patterns they tolerate. Every day, your mind, your body, and your emotions are either pulling you forward or keeping you trapped. The majority of people live on autopilot. They repeat the same thoughts, the same emotions, the same habits, and then they wonder why nothing changes. But here's the truth. If you want to break free, you have to interrupt the pattern. You have to raise your standards. You have to demand more from yourself than anyone else would ever expect. Getting unstuck isn't about waiting for the right moment. It's about creating the moment. It's about shifting your focus, changing your state, and taking action even when it feels uncomfortable, because nothing changes until why you change. And once you do, your entire world changes with you. So why do most people get stuck, and how do you break free? Let's break it down. Most people don't realize that the very thing keeping them stuck is not a lack of opportunity, not bad luck, and not even other people. It's comfort. Comfort is seductive. It whispers, stay here, it's safe, it's familiar, it won't hurt you. And because the human brain is wired to avoid pain and seek pleasure, we buy into that lie. We choose the job that pays the bills but doesn't fulfill us because it feels secure. We stay in the relationship that drains us because it feels familiar. We repeat the same routines day after day because they don't challenge us. Comfort becomes a cage, and the worst part is, it's a cage that feels cozy. It doesn't shake the bars or scream to get out. It gently lulls you into staying right where you are. The problem with comfort is that nothing grows there. Growth only happens in uncertainty, in challenge and struggle. Think about the gym. You don't build muscle by lifting what feels easy. You build it by straining against resistance. The same is true in life. Every breakthrough you've ever had happened when you stepped outside what felt easy. Yet most people confuse comfort with happiness. They believe that if they can avoid risk and avoid discomfort, they'll feel safe. But in reality, the longer you stay in comfort, the more restless, dissatisfied, and stuck you feel. Because deep down, you know you're meant for more. The tragedy is that people trade their potential for temporary ease. They stay in the job that doesn't excite them because starting something new feels risky. They avoid conversations that could heal relationships because it's uncomfortable to be vulnerable. They stop setting bigger goals because failing feels painful. But here's the truth. Avoiding discomfort doesn't protect you, it traps you. And over time, the cost of staying comfortable becomes greater than the cost of stepping into the unknown. Comfort convinces you that change is dangerous. Growth convinces you that staying the same is deadly. The difference between people who break free and people who stay stuck is that one group learns to lean into discomfort, to use it as a signpost that they're moving in the right direction. When you feel fear, when you feel resistance, that's the exact moment you're brushing up against your own limitations. And if you push through, you expand, you become more, you create new possibilities. Think of every great achievement in history. None of it came from comfort. Leaders, creators, innovators, and change makers all stepped into uncertainty, into discomfort, into the unknown. And that's where transformation lies. The question is not whether you feel fear or discomfort. The question is whether you let that feeling control you or drive you. If you're stuck, it's likely because you've let comfort become your master instead of making growth your standard. Breaking free requires a radical shift in perspective. Instead of avoiding discomfort, you start to chase it. Instead of asking, what's easiest? You ask, what will make me grow? You stop looking for the path of least resistance and start looking for the path of maximum expansion. It doesn't mean you seek out suffering. It means you recognize that every moment of discomfort carries within it the seed of your future strength. Every time you stretch beyond what feels safe, you build the muscles of courage, resilience, and confidence. So the next time you feel that pull toward comfort, pause and ask yourself, is this choice keeping me safe or is it keeping me stuck? Because the difference between those who live average lives and those who create extraordinary ones is not talent, luck, or intelligence. It's their relationship with discomfort. The ones who grow are the ones who choose growth over ease, purpose over safety, and transformation over familiarity. That choice is always available. The only question is whether you are willing to take it. Fear is one of the strongest forces that shapes human behavior, and most people don't even realize how much it dominates their decisions. People stay stuck not because they don't have dreams, not because they lack ability, but because they allow fear to be louder than vision. Fear whispers in your ear, don't try, you'll fail. Don't speak, they'll judge you. Don't change, you'll lose what you have. And so people obey fear, not realizing that every time they give into it, they shrink their life a little bit more. Fear becomes a prison, and the walls are built out of imagined scenarios that may never even happen. Fear of failure is one of the most powerful chains. People don't start businesses, they don't write books, They don't chase opportunities because in their minds, they're already living the embarrassment of failing. They create a vivid picture of everything that could go wrong, but never invest that same energy into imagining what could go right. So their vision dies before it even has a chance to breathe. The irony is, failure is not the enemy, it's the foundation of success. Every person who has ever broken free from being stuck has a long list of failures behind them, but they use those failures as teachers instead of prisons. Then there's the fear of rejection. Humans are wired for connection, so the thought of being judged, laughed at, or left behind keeps people paralyzed. They stay quiet when they should speak. They settle in relationships because they're afraid to be alone. They downplay their talents because they don't want to stand out and risk criticism. But the truth is, rejection is inevitable. You cannot live authentically, pursue greatness, or break free from mediocrity without upsetting someone along the way. The difference between those who stay stuck and those who move forward is that the second group values their vision more than other people's opinions. And let's not forget the fear of change itself. Change means stepping into the unknown, and the unknown feels threatening. The mind loves predictability because predictability feels safe. That's why people stay in jobs they hate, routines that bore them, or patterns that destroy them. The idea of leaving feels terrifying, so they cling to what they know, even when it's painful. But the unknown is not your enemy. It's the only place where growth and new possibilities exist. Every great moment in your life will come from stepping into territory you haven't explored before. The truth is, fear never fully goes away. Waiting to feel ready before you take action is the surest way to stay stuck forever. Readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's moving forward in spite of it. The people who break free are not those who don't feel fear, but those who refuse to let fear drive the car. They put vision back in the driver's seat. Vision is the antidote to fear. When your vision is clear and compelling enough, it gives you a reason to push through the discomfort. Fear says, what if you fail? Vision says, what if you succeed? Fear says, what if they laugh at you? Vision says, what if you inspire them? Fear says, what if you lose? Vision says, what if you win bigger than you ever imagined? The energy you give to fear could be redirected to fuel a future that excites you. The moment you shift your focus from what you're afraid of to what you're reaching for, you create power. Fear contracts your life, vision expands it. If you want to break free from being stuck, stop letting fear dominate your choices. Let your vision be stronger than your excuses, louder than your doubts, and bigger than your fears. Most people live their lives repeating the same patterns day after day without even noticing it. The truth is, your life is nothing more than a reflection of your habits, what you do consistently, not what you occasionally dream about. If you look at someone who feels stuck, what you'll usually see is a loop of repetitive actions and choices, almost like a script they're acting out without realizing it. Wake up, check the phone, drag through the same routine, think the same thoughts, complain about the same problems, and then repeat it all again tomorrow. This cycle becomes so ingrained that it feels normal, but in reality, it's the invisible trap that keeps people exactly where they are. Habits are powerful because they run on autopilot. Once the brain has learned a pattern, it conserves energy by repeating it without requiring conscious thought. That's useful when the habits are empowering, like exercising, reading, or practicing gratitude. But when the habits are destructive, like procrastination, negative self-talk, or avoidance, they quietly sabotage progress. The scary part is many people don't even realize their habits are the reason they feel stuck. They think the problem is external, the job, the economy, their circumstances, but in truth, it's the small repeated choices that shape everything. Think about it. If you eat unhealthy meals every day, it doesn't take one meal to see the result. It takes time. If you avoid taking risks every day, you don't notice the cost immediately, but over years, the opportunities you miss become enormous. Habits compound. They either move you forward or hold you back. And most people never stop to question their daily rituals. They simply live out yesterday's patterns and expect tomorrow to be different. That's why they feel stuck, because they're running the same program over and over again. Breaking free requires awareness. The first step is to catch yourself in the loop. Ask yourself, what are the habits that are shaping my life right now? What do I do every morning, every evening, every time I face stress or fear? Do those habits align with the life I want to create, or are they keeping me trapped in the one I want to escape? The moment you shine a light on these unconscious patterns, you regain power, because you cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge. But awareness alone is not enough. You must actively replace destructive habits with empowering ones. If you simply try to stop doing something, the brain resists because it hates empty space. Instead, you need to create a new pattern that overrides the old one. For example, if your habit is starting the day scrolling through social media, replace it with a habit of movement, journaling, or visualization. At first, It feels forced. It feels uncomfortable. But over time, repetition rewires the brain, and the new habit becomes just as automatic as the old one. The difference between being stuck and being free often comes down to rituals. Winners don't just set goals, they create habits that naturally lead them toward those goals. They design their mornings, their evenings, their routines in ways that reinforce growth. They understand that success is not a one-time event. It's the outcome of small actions done consistently. When you change your habits, you change your identity. And when your identity shifts, your life transforms. The danger of staying unaware is that your habits will always win against your intentions. You can say you want to change, you can dream big dreams, but if your daily rituals don't support those dreams, you'll always fall back into the same cycle. People who remain stuck are not lazy. They're simply unaware that their life is being built by unconscious patterns. The moment they wake up to that fact, they have the chance to break free. So the key is not just to ask, what do I want? But also, what am I repeatedly doing? Because the truth is, your results don't lie. They are the reflection of the habits you've chosen, whether consciously or unconsciously. The fastest way to break free from being stuck is to interrupt the old cycle and build new rituals that pull you toward the future you desire. That's the power of habits. They either chain you down or set you free. One of the biggest reasons people stay stuck is because they give more attention to their problems than to their possibilities. It's not that they don't have opportunities. It's not that life hasn't presented them with chances to grow. It's that their focus is locked on everything that's wrong, everything that's missing, and everything that could go wrong. And where focus goes, energy flows. If you keep staring at what's broken, you magnify it. If you keep rehearsing what you don't want, you energize it. Problems become bigger, heavier, and more overwhelming simply because you pour your attention into them. Think about two people facing the same challenge. One immediately thinks, why me? This isn't fair. What if this ruins everything? Their focus is buried in the problem, so they feel powerless. The other person asks, what can I learn from this? How can I use this? Where's the opportunity here? Their focus shifts towards solutions and possibilities, and suddenly the exact same situation becomes fuel instead of chains. The external circumstances may be the same, but the internal outcome is radically different because of focus. When people constantly focus on problems, they create a habit of living in reaction. They wait for life to calm down before they take action. They wait for challenges to disappear before they pursue their goals. But problems are a permanent part of life. The only question is whether you let them define you or refine you. And that's determined by where you direct your attention. If you treat every setback as proof that you're not good enough, you stay stuck. If you treat every setback as feedback, you grow stronger. It's important to understand that the brain is naturally biased toward problems. It's a survival mechanism. Thousands of years ago, it was more important to notice the rustle of bushes that might be a predator than to admire a sunset. The challenge is that same wiring now makes you obsess over bills, mistakes, arguments, or fears. Left unchecked, your mind becomes a magnet for negativity. That's why breaking free requires training yourself to deliberately shift focus. It's not about ignoring problems. It's about refusing to let them dominate your entire mental space. Focusing on possibilities means asking better questions. Instead of, why is this happening to me? You ask, how can I grow from this? Instead of, what if I fail? You ask, what could I gain if I succeed? The questions you ask shape your focus, and your focus shapes your life. When you choose to direct your attention toward possibilities, you activate creativity, courage, and resourcefulness. You start noticing opportunities that were invisible before because your brain is no longer locked on limitation. Imagine someone who loses their job. One person focuses only on the problem, I'm doomed. I'll never recover. This is the worst thing that's happened. They spiral into despair and inaction. Another person sees the same situation and thinks, this is my chance to finally pursue the career I've always wanted. This is my opportunity to build something of my own. The problem hasn't disappeared, it's still real. But the second person has shifted focus to possibilities, and that single shift changes everything. The truth is, whatever you focus on grows. Focus on fear, and fear expands. Focus on gratitude, and gratitude expands. Focus on problems, and they consume you. Focus on possibilities, and suddenly doors appear where walls once stood. That doesn't mean life becomes perfect, but it does mean you become powerful. You stop being a victim of circumstance and start becoming a creator of solutions. When you shift your focus, you reclaim energy that was previously wasted on worry. You stop rehearsing the same negative story and start scripting a new one. And the moment you do, momentum returns. Instead of feeling stuck, you feel empowered. Instead of shrinking in the face of obstacles, you expand your vision. That's the difference between those who remain in cycles of frustration and those who break free. The ones who rise are the ones who choose to see possibilities even in the darkest of challenges. One of the deepest reasons people remain stuck in life is because they lack a compelling why. Without a strong, burning reason behind their actions, people lose motivation, fall back into old patterns, and allow fear or comfort to dictate their choices. A person might say they want change, they might talk about goals, but when the pressure comes, when discomfort shows up, they quit because the desire wasn't anchored to something greater than themselves. A weak reason produces weak action. A strong why creates unstoppable momentum. Think about this. When someone has no deeper purpose for their decisions, they procrastinate, they dabble, they try a little, and the moment it feels hard, they back off. But if someone has a powerful reason, suddenly the impossible becomes possible. Imagine a parent who says they can't wake up early or work long hours. But if their child's survival depended on it, they would do it without hesitation. Why? Because the why is strong enough. When your reason is urgent, emotional, and meaningful, your brain stops negotiating with excuses. You simply find a way. The truth is, most people don't lack the ability to change. They lack the emotional drive behind the change. They set goals like, I want to make more money, or I want to be healthier, but those are vague and uninspiring. They're not tied to something that truly matters to the heart. Compare that with someone who says, I want to make more money so I can give my family the security I never had as a child, or I want to be healthy so I can walk my daughter down the aisle and see my grandchildren grow up. Those reasons are powerful because they are emotional, and emotion is what drives lasting action. When you don't have a compelling why, you get lost in the grind of life. You allow distractions to pull you in every direction. You become more reactive than proactive. You let other people's opinions control your choices because you don't have a personal vision strong enough to anchor you. That's why so many people feel unmotivated. It's not that they're lazy. It's that they haven't connected their goals to a purpose that truly excites or challenges them. Without that connection, motivation fizzles and they stay stuck in the same cycle. On the other hand, when you find your why, you tap into a source of energy that doesn't run out. It becomes your compass. It gives meaning to your struggles. Suddenly, setbacks aren't reasons to quit. They're reminders of what you're fighting for. Pain becomes fuel, not punishment. When you have a clear reason, you don't just endure challenges, you rise through them because you know what's waiting on the other side. Your why doesn't have to be world changing. It just has to matter deeply to you. It might be your family, your future, your faith, your freedom, or your legacy. Whatever it is, it has to ignite you emotionally, because when your reason is powerful, it can pull you through moments when discipline alone isn't enough. That's why people who are crystal clear on their why seem unstoppable. They're not superhuman. They just have a reason that outweighs every excuse. If you feel stuck, it's worth asking yourself not just what you want, but why you want it. Dig deep. Keep asking why until you uncover the truth beneath the surface desire. Because when you connect to a compelling why, your entire psychology shifts. Fear loses its grip, comfort loses its lure, and problems lose their weight. You gain direction, clarity, and strength. A strong why turns ordinary people into leaders, survivors into thrivers, and dreamers into doors. It is the anchor that keeps you steady in the storm and the fire that pushes you to break free. Most people spend their lives waiting for something outside of themselves to change before they take control. They wait for the economy to improve, for their partner to behave differently, for their boss to notice them, for the perfect opportunity to appear. They say things like, when things calm down, then I'll start, or if only they would support me, then I could move forward. The problem with this mindset is that it places all the power in external hands. As long as you wait for the world to change, you remain powerless. Freedom only comes when you realize that the only thing you can truly control is yourself. Your choices, your perspective, your actions. External conditions will never align perfectly. Life will always throw uncertainty, setbacks, and obstacles your way. If you keep waiting for circumstances to line up before you move, you'll spend your entire life waiting. The truth is, breakthroughs don't happen because the world became easier. They happen because someone decided to take full responsibility for their life regardless of what was happening around them. Responsibility is not about blame. It's about ownership. It's the understanding that no one is coming to rescue you, and that's good news because it means you already have the power to rescue yourself. People who feel stuck often live as if they are victims of circumstance. They talk about what others did to them, what life took from them, or what opportunities they never had. But being a victim gives away your strength. The moment you define yourself by what you can't control, you shrink your possibilities. Taking internal control means flipping the script. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You ask, what can I do with this? How can I use it? That one shift takes you from powerless to powerful. Think of every great transformation story you've ever heard. It never begins with someone waiting for the world to hand them an easier path. It begins with someone deciding, I will no longer let my circumstances dictate who I am. I choose who I am. I choose how I respond. I choose the direction of my life. That decision is the turning point. The circumstances may still be difficult, but the moment someone takes internal control, their energy changes, their confidence grows, and opportunities begin to appear, not because the world shifted, but because their perspective did. When you take ownership of your internal world, you start to realize that your state creates your reality. If you wake up focusing on problems, you'll see problems everywhere. If you wake up focusing on solutions and gratitude, the same world looks entirely different. This doesn't mean pretending challenges don't exist. It means refusing to give them control over your life. You cannot control the economy, but you can control your resourcefulness. You cannot control other people's behavior, but you can control your standards. You cannot control what life throws at you, but you can control whether you use it to grow or to shrink. The people who stay stuck are the ones waiting for life to give them permission. They wait for someone else to believe in them, for conditions to improve, for luck to show up. But the people who break free understand that the power is internal. They stop waiting and start creating. They stop complaining and start taking responsibility. They stop hoping someone else will change and start becoming the change themselves. That's when real transformation begins, when you finally understand that the key to freedom was never in someone else's hands. It has always been in yours. The moment you stop waiting for the external and start taking command of the internal, you unlock strength you didn't know you had. You realize that control doesn't come from dominating the outside world. It comes from mastering your own mind, emotions, and choices. And once you do that, the external begins to shift as a reflection of your internal state. That's the secret most people never discover. Life changes the moment you take control of yourself. Everything else follows at the end of the day. Getting stuck is not a life sentence. It's a choice, and so is breaking free. The chains that hold most people back are not made of steel. They're made of fear, comfort, excuses, and habits. But the moment you decide to raise your standards, to take ownership, to focus on possibilities instead of problems, and to build a why so strong that nothing can shake it, that's the moment your life changes. You don't have to wait for tomorrow. You don't have to wait for someone else. You don't have to wait for the perfect conditions. The power to break free is already inside you. The question is, are you willing to claim it? Are you willing to step into discomfort that will shape your growth? Are you ready to stop waiting and start creating? Because the truth is, your future is not written yet. You have the pen in your hand. You can keep replaying the same old story of being stuck, or you can start writing a new chapter of freedom, growth, and possibility. Life is always giving you two choices: stay comfortable and remain the same, or step into courage and become more. And the strongest move you'll ever make is to choose the second. Thank you for giving your energy, your attention, and most importantly, your willingness to grow today. Remember, breakthroughs don't happen because of words. They happen because of action. Take something from what you've heard today and put it into practice. Even one small shift, one bold decision can start a ripple that transforms your entire life. I want to leave you with this. You are not stuck. You are only standing still because you forgot you can move. So stand tall, breathe deep, and remind yourself of the power you already carry. The next chapter of your life is waiting, but it won't start until you do. Thank you. God bless you, and go out there and create the life you were born to live.